What's going on with you?
Yo, another day in the lab, baby. So it's always a good day.
Oh,
it's always a good day when we in the lab. You want policing to be better in your communities? The best policing that you can that can happen in any community are people that's actually from the community and that.
Once again, Rick, host BNY Podcast, now known as What Effing Week with BNY Dev. How you feeling, man?
I'm in here.
What's good, comment section?
Here.
Do we drag our people down when sometimes they don't deserve it? For sure, absolutely. In this situation, this man deserves every single dragging that we can do because this is not an example of us.
But you got the angles. You got the knowledge of the game, bro.
This is where you're getting at, the IQ.
Down. Like he's telling you what's going on. He was a bad husband. He was just doing things his way. He's apologizing to his wife, like, yo.
Pat ourselves on the back for that one because we ain't giving yourself awards. I mean, who is?
Yeah, no boy.
Hey. Oh, mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Hey. And bring it 3 boxes. Even back up just a little bit. I don't want to be too big for the camera. Yo, how y'all doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, faces too. Like, look at this. Like, look at the camera real quick. Look at that. Like, look at.
No, well, the camera or
this right here. That's what I mean for like us. All right, see how close
Yeah.
I am? Now this is a little bit better. So just
that makes sense.
yeah, small production items. That's it.
Yeah.
But Mike, Miko, how we doing tonight?
Well, sir.
I'm good. How are you, Ricky?
Hey, I'm good. First of all, thank you very much for finally doing this. I know we kind of talked a little bit last year. Just about just hauntings, Charles County, documentary things of that sort. But I'm glad we can we get this podcast off the ground. I was thinking about it because let's see, this iteration of the podcast I've been doing for maybe about 2022, December 2021, just like local Southern Maryland, Charles County focused individuals such as yourself, and we all live within these county walls. So, taking a look at the community, but just trying to expand out and into different kind of things we could do here. And then obviously I was a fan of this book, and then got in contact with you through a few people. So I definitely appreciate your time and also your rescheduling from last Thursday. Yeah, the work is work. So thank you very much, Mike.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so Mike Callahan of Friends of Maxwell Hall, president. But before we begin from there, what we're aiming to do for the night as far as this conversation we're going to have, please introduce yourself.
I'm Mike Callahan from the Friends of Maxwell Hall. We're a volunteer group that helps support the historic home Maxwell Hall, along working with Charles County Office of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. And so we volunteer to help maintain the house, get grants for projects there. We host Maxwell Hall Colonial Fair and Fall Festival every third weekend of October, which was 2 weekends ago. Mm-hmm. And it's a big event, free to the public. And it encourages people to learn about history through living history and music and other things. We do some holiday decorating of the house and open it for the holiday trail of Charles County. And that's the first weekend of December. And then we do some other things like open house events and different guest lectures and hikes and things. And then on occasion, we have a member of our Friends of Maxwell Hall who will do a spirit investigation for us. And she actually does it as a fundraiser for the house. And every penny of the donation that we take in goes straight to the Friends of Maxwell Hall to help keep upkeep of the house, things that the county might not be able to do.
Y'all just had an event there recently.
Yes, that was. It was at the 19th and 20th, I believe, and there were lots of living history reenactments, military, and some musicians doing music from the time period. We had crafters who were selling clothing that were period clothing, and somebody did toy soldiers that were really small metal soldiers from all different time periods. And then we had modern crafters as well, and some entertainment that was folk type music, and some food vendors were there as well. So it was a good 2-day weekend.
Yeah, I remember you had text me, sent me the flyer. I was like,
Yes.
interesting time, but Saturdays you
Lots
go to
of stuff going
usually go to dominate. I got 3 kids. One was playing something somewhere, and it's never close.
Yep.
So it is what it is. But no, I'm glad. How was the turnout? Was it
We
pretty
had
successful for you?
600 and something people, I believe, over the 2-day period.
Awesome.
And it's I think it was about the 7th year of the event. And so it's gotten a little bigger each year. And we get grants from county to help pay for the event. We don't charge anything to set up. They don't charge vendors a fee. It's just to get people to come and visit Charles County and see what the history of the area is, and a little bit about the history of Maxwell Hall.
That's good, and it also works well. So you work directly with the tourism office.
Yes, so we work with Parks and Tourism, and one of their staff members that is assigned to that area. We assist him in different programs. They assist us in groundskeeping and things like that. And so it's a very joint venture between the parks who own it, the county who owns it, and our friends of Maxwell Hall.
That's good. And how long you been president for?
About 2 years. Our previous president, George Gazarik, had passed away, and so I was vice president, and I took over the presidency after his passing.
Okay. And you have to like win an election, or is it?
It was since I was vice president, I temporarily appointed, and then they had an election after that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, if you ever want to run for county commissioner, I got a platform for you.
I'll take a temporary refrain from that one.
All right, Mike. So that's fantastic. Congrats on your success with the hall. We're definitely going to get into a lot of stories with it. Once again, found out about you from this book. Shout out to David W. Thompson, the author too. But I can't let the start off the podcast without saying, Mika, what's going on too? It's been a while since
It's
since
been a
you've
minute.
here. Yeah, I saw you early today.
Yeah.
Man said podcast. I was like, all right, Slide, come on through tonight. And then here we are. So, hey, yeah, it was obviously we changed a couple of things around last time you've been on here, and the area space itself.
It's definitely a different look to it. You know,
Yeah.
I dig it. I dig the walls.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew, but it was actually a fire that half this shed caught on fire. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, we had to work through that. I was recording podcasts in different places. Shout out to Quality Touch, Will Bowser. So,
Oh wow.
but yeah, now we're back up running. That's what I said. Number 9 podcast with you tonight.
Good.
It was a clean start. Fresh ideas, and we came back in the building. So,
Yay.
but Miko was there before the fire, and now after.
Okay.
So
Through the fire.
through the fire.
And out of the ashes comes the new stuff.
Boom.
Hey, there it is.
There it is.
There it is. So, Mike, Spirit Investigations, Haunted Stories, Maxwell Hall. Where do we start at tonight? Obviously, theme is Halloween. I saw the full bowl of candy I got inside. Please take a bag with you each. I don't care if you even throw it out your window on the way out. All right. Just take something. But no, but seriously, I'm curious. What is the history of Maxwell Hall? And we could go move it to the haunted from there.
Sure. So Maxwell Hall was built by George Maxwell in 1760. So it's 254 years old. It's been lived in most of the time, off and on, since then until the last owners who owned it. But George Maxwell was an immigrant from Scotland, and he was a merchant. So he sold goods back and forth between America and England. Mm-hmm. And he had a family. That he also had property on the Eastern Shore, but he had a family in here, and so he raised them in the family at the house there. He was involved a little bit in some of the early things with Charles County when it came to deciding if they were going to go with England or go with independence. And so he was involved with meetings at the Port Tobacco Courthouse with all the people who were property owners of the time, the men. And so he had different crops on the farm, and he owned some enslaved people. And when he passed away, trying to think of the year 1778 or 9, something like that. His family, his daughter owned the house, and then after a while they sold it to another family. I believe it was the Keach family, and the Keach family lived there for a while, and they had some children that lived there, and I believe it's the owner's name was Philemon Keach, and they lived there, and in, I believe it was 1828 maybe, 2 of their children passed away. One passed away in the house, John Alexander Keach, and he was about 9 or 10 years old. And then a younger sibling, his sister, passed away at another family property in southern Prince George's County.
Do they know where they passed away from?
There's no noted record that we can tell, but we're assuming because they both passed in the same year, it may have been some sort of disease or childhood illness or something that they both had living together.
Okay. So we got that. All right, continue.
And then it changed in various hands throughout the years, up to the War of 1812, actually. When that happened, the Keaches owned it, and the British came through Benedict and stopped by on the property on the way to burn Washington. President was in the White House, Madison, and he sent, I believe it was his secretary, one of his secretaries, James Monroe, to look at the situation there in Benedict. And so he was probably on or very close to the property. And then he fled back to Washington to give the report. And from there, the British moved on to Upper Marlboro and eventually the Battle of Bladensburg and to burn Washington. So it's got a history from pre-colonial. It's got the Revolutionary War time period that people lived in it, and the War of 1812. And then also people lived in it during the Civil War time period. And all the way up until 1990, I believe, or so. The house had gone into a little disrepair, and there were some tenant farmers and people renting it. And so it went into a little disrepair when this one family, the Swans that bought it last, they fixed it up. There was light coming through the roof. It had had that much damage to it, and they fixed it up and made it look like basically what it does today if you were to go visit the house. And they got a little older and couldn't continue, so they sold it to the county, and it's now the park that we know as Maxwell Hall. And it's got hiking trails, and then, of course, the historic home. A lower part of the property, which is on the Patuxent, is owned by the Maryland Department of Natural Resources, but the park with the house part is the county. And so there are member of Friends of Maxwell Hall, Lynn Irvin, who's done some spirit investigations for us there, and she often does them as a fundraiser for the Friends of Maxwell Hall. And every penny that is charged goes straight to the Friends of Maxwell Hall that goes back to helping projects at the home itself.
So let me ask you this, and from here we'll start to get started too. What led to the idea of wanting a spirit investigation in the first place?
So this friend has done them at other historic homes in the county, and I knew she had the gift of being able to experience them, the spirit things, and then she had equipment that she used, and I'd been on another one before for another organization in the county, and she did it as a fundraiser for that home as well. So I knew she was interested, and she was always looking for new places to explore, and when I got to be part of the group, I mentioned to her, hey, there's Maxwell Hall. Would you be interested in doing something there? And she's like, oh, yes, it would. And so from there, that's when she said, well, I'll do a fundraiser for you all. And then she even joined the Friends of Maxwell Hall after that first one.
So how did the first one go? What was found there? What was discovered?
We had upstairs, main floor, and basement. In the basement, we were all downstairs in the basement, and no one else was upstairs, and we heard footprints walking on the boards of the floor above us. And then also in the room where the heater system is, there was some activity down there, and they believe from the equipment that was used and the questions that were asked and things, because you can't ask a question and get a several word answer. It's like equipment that gives you basically yes or no answers. And so questions were asked, and it was determined. We think that even one of the people in the basement might have been an enslaved person, but we couldn't figure out names.
What do you think, Miko?
It's heavy. That's very heavy to have that type of presence in the house. I mean, yes, it's south, but yeah.
Yeah, and it would be really nice to be able to figure out who everyone was that's still there. But the only ones we know for sure, from what we can tell, is by name is the boy John Alexander Keach, and he was asked if he would like a toy left behind for him to play with, and he said yes through the equipment. So we left a little toy there in the house that, if you were to go, you might see it on a shelf somewhere.
Has it moved or?
I don't know for sure because we put it in one place and somebody cleaned the house. So we think they might have moved it when they cleaned the house, so we couldn't confirm that it had been moved around or not.
All right, so spirit investigation. Obviously, you come in contact with the 9-year-old you mentioned. How does that? Who all else is in the room too? Like, how does that happen?
Okay, so Lynn starts it with everybody sitting in chairs and just relaxing and getting to hear what the house sounds like with nothing going on.
Okay,
to relax, and suggests people have water and drink water so they're hydrated and aren't possibly not in a good state of mind because they don't have enough hydration. And so she starts out with being calm and listening just to get a feel of the house. And then from there, she might move into describing what equipment she would use, from things like a REM pod, which is an electric piece of equipment that if somebody touches it, lights and alarms go on. And that's whether it's somebody like you and me in the flesh, or if a spirit were to touch it, the same thing would happen. She's got pieces of equipment that monitor temperatures. So if the temperature in the room goes up and down, it says, oh, that's cold or that's warm, and it records what the temperature might have been. And then she's also had us use things like dowel rods that move to the left or right. You ask if the spirit there understands that left is yes and right is no, and then if you understand and it moves the rod to the right or left, you can possibly tell that it knows what's going on. If you get a yes answer, then you can start asking only yes no questions. And if you know a little bit about the history of the place, you might be able to ask specific questions about names or time periods and things like that.
Okay. All right, so we got the time period. We got a name. Now, once that type of contact is made, does this individual just show up on a daily? Is it a ghost? Is it a apparition? What do you think?
So we didn't see anything. It's not like we saw a shape, a silhouette, or anything like that. At least I didn't. I can't tell if anybody else did, but they were, from what we can tell, was present, answering the questions yes or no, and I don't remember if she's used the voice box kind of thing at that place. And I can't remember its exact name, but you've probably seen it on some of the TV shows where you ask questions and it sounds like a radio being switched between channels, and then all of a sudden clear words come out. And so it may be communicating that way. I can't remember that she's used that there. She may have on the most recent one, but just by asking the questions and getting the answers yes or no, we determine, well, they think that the kid, John Alexander Keach, might be there.
Who else have you met there?
There was somebody associated with, I possibly believe, George Maxwell's house, but we couldn't confirm it was him. And there may have been somebody else, another adult from the Keach family, not the little boy, and then the enslaved person. So about 3 to 4 people that we think for sure, and there may be others, but I just can't remember them all.
Do they have any interaction with each other too, or?
That's a good question. And I am not sure that they do, but I believe they do, because I know someone has asked the question about knowing somebody and they weren't there in the house at the same time period living there. And I think that the answer might have came up that they were familiar with somebody else who didn't live during the time period that they lived in the house. And I understand from Lynn that some people, if their spirit isn't there, it may be that that was a happy place for them. Sometimes a spirit, she said, follows a person from another place and just visits there, like, oh, this is a cool place, I'm going to stay here for a little bit. And then it decides to move on to another place. Whereas others might have been people that were there for part of their life, maybe it was a happy place or it wasn't necessarily a happy place for them.
What the heck? Yo, what do you think? Like, what do you think about all that you listen to?
There's a lot to unpack. I mean, the fact that this house is, you said
1760.
And it's been lived in until the 1990s?
Yes. Early 90s.
How many generations is that? That's
8
or 9.
Something like that.
Right? And what, 4 different families?
At least there was a Morton family.
Okay.
Sometime after the Keaches, there was maybe a Bowling family sometime as well.
I asked BJ that.
And then in the 1960s through 80s, there were a couple different families. Somebody said their family rented the house for like, I don't know, $100 to a couple $100 a month or something rent. And that person came back to one of our events last year, the Colonia Fair, and so we were connected with them. And there is some research, archaeological research type stuff going on, and they are trying to learn more about who the enslaved people were that lived there, and maybe try to connect to descendants of them who might still be in Charles County. So there are lots of history in that place, and like you said, several generations.
And with the amount of different families that live in the house, and of course the deceased that are in the house, there's always been like a kind of a negative connotation when it comes to haunted houses, right? And with your experience in this field, like, has there been any type of like to dispel it's not all bad, like it's not all ghosts trying to get at you,
right?
You know what I mean?
Shut door in your face, you know.
With malevolent intent is, I mean, what's you said there's ghosts going like to their happy place in terms of like traversing to the house. Is that typically more of that experience versus negative?
I know that I've only felt a little uncomfortable a couple times in some of the investigations, and I heard there was another investigator one time in the house, and she said there was somebody upstairs who was not very happy. She thought it could have been a child, and like it may have been abused or something like that. She couldn't tell a time period, but she said she got this vibe of like somebody might have been abused or something. But I haven't had many negative experiences. They're mostly just like casual. It doesn't seem like the person's got an axe to grind and wants to like scare people away or hurt people or anything like that. It just seems like they kind of live there, I guess, if you could call it living. But they're there at the places.
Gotcha.
No,
it is a really hard thing to imagine. I mean, like, because we're humans, and it's like it's a totally different thing. And first time I ever went on one, I was like very skeptical. I'm like, oh, this is like hocus pocus stuff. This is phony. And I got to use a piece of the equipment. And when they asked questions at the one home, when it said, someone asked, do you know Mike? And that would be me. And the equipment answered yes. I'm like, oh, I'm in this house enough. They know who I am. And so that made me become a believer after that. But before that, I was a little skeptical.
You're just like, I mean, you know, this is you beforehand witnessing anything, you know, strange before the spirit investigation.
So yes, before a spirit investigation, I was in Maxwell Hall for the garden club. Crossroads of Hughesville Garden Club decorated the home for the holiday tour. And sometime in the last 10 years, closer to the 10-year time ago, somebody came in the house that had lived there before, or a family member of someone who lived there, and a floral decoration jumped off of the piano and crashed to the floor.
How far did it jump?
It was at least 2 or 3 feet from the piano and landed on the floor.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
I guess that individual was a welcome back.
Yeah, so I guess it was saying hi to the family member who had come back. They were one of the last families to live in the house.
Oh, not you again. Yeah, I know you. You walk. You?
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, knock that down. Yo, it's got. So it's interesting because you said beforehand you didn't so much believe, you're more so a skeptic, but it's something you saw with your own particular eyes.
Yeah, seeing the equipment move and
Yeah.
the piano flower thing. Yes.
Yeah. So how did everyone react at that point? Did everyone just leave the house and hey, we just do this tomorrow?
No, we still stayed, and it was like we couldn't believe what just happened, and everybody was trying to figure out what caused it, and the best thing anybody could say was it had to be one of the spirits because there was no physical person there. It wasn't like an earthquake, shook the house and knocked it off, and there was no kid or adult there pushing it off the piano. So everybody speculated, oh, it must have been one of the spirits here in the house.
What did the family members say?
I wish I could remember, but I think they were saying maybe it possibly was somebody who had lived there and knew them. And maybe it wasn't even one of their direct family members. Maybe it just recognized them from when they lived in the house when the family first moved in there or something.
That is wild. Like, I know time, like we see time as one thing, but in that realm, where are we? We're crossing there, or we're talking about it. Like, I wonder how time is perceived.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know. Could be almost what it feels like a day, in some instances. Like to be so. Lynn is the individual you're referring to, and she mentioned that some spirits like to just stay for a little bit. Some are just passing through. Some have been there before. Some are there because they're. I don't know. Did you say anything? Someone could just be stuck there. Did she give any reasons for that?
I don't remember her saying anything about why they might stay there. I guess I'm not sure. Maybe they just haven't been able to find the way to complete their mission or their journey to where they were supposed to go.
Has any of these apparitions or spirits, have they like defined what they're waiting on before they can pass on? Or
I don't recall in any of the investigations I've been on hearing anything about that.
How long does investigation usually take?
2 to 3 or 4 hours probably. We might start in the main floor and then do stuff in some of the rooms there, and then maybe go downstairs to the basement, and then possibly upstairs to the second floor. So maybe a half hour to an hour in each area.
Okay.
And then a debriefing after everything's done, like what did people experience? She has recordings that she turns on and maybe leaves in a room when no one's there, and she can go back and look at that, listen to the recordings and see if you hear anything. I know some of the places she's done it, you can hear voices in the background on the recordings that nobody was in the room saying those things, and it's like a faint voice. And then I'm trying to remember if she's had video or not. I cannot remember if she's put video cameras in a room or not. But people use their phones sometimes, and occasionally they might see something on the phone that they didn't see there when they looked at it right away. Like when they saw it physically, later went back and looked at it and may have seen something on the phone later.
Such as?
Like maybe an aura type thing or something, or some kind of movement through the screen that they didn't see in person.
What would the aura look like?
I'm trying to remember it. Maybe the shape of something, or like light in an area or something.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
like imagine like a smoky haze.
Maybe a dot of light or something, or a circle of light moving around a little bit. I know one time seeing some video from another place. It wasn't there. It was in a cemetery, and there was this dot of light that kept moving up and down in the trees and at various spots, and there was nobody there with them, like shining a light or anything. So it was something that just kept coming up and down out of the trees into the ground, kind of near where the gravestones were. but that wasn't related to Maxwell Hall. It's just a video of hers that I saw.
But it's relatable to the content.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Have you ever slept there overnight?
I have.
Oof.
For Nights of the Holiday Tour. I mean, the Colonial Fair. I did spend the night one night, so I could be there first thing in the morning to greet the reenactors. And I did not sleep very well, not because of any spirits, but the mattress was so bad that I think I felt every bone in my body in the morning, and I must have got, I don't even know if I got an hour's sleep that night. And so I said, no, it's not worth it. I need to get to sleep for this thing. And but we were listening and looking and just didn't have any luck that night.
But it was just you in the house.
It was just me, and actually I think the spirit investigator might have spent the night in a room as well, but we didn't have any luck that night. And something she has said that may affect what happens there with the spirits, if there's too many people in the house, because this was the second day of the event. If there's a lot of people in the house, there's a lot of activity and emotions and things going on, and sometimes that may affect the spirits that are there. So it might just be too much activity for them and they're a little ragged out or whatever.
It was just you two, though.
Yeah, but in the day, there had been a lot of people in the house.
So the residual.
So yes, because there was just so much action going on during the day with like hundreds of people coming in the house.
Gotcha. Okay.
Interesting. But it's not usually that you're not super busy throughout the week.
No, and when she does these, it's usually a weekend day, evening, and she minimizes it to 12 people, so it's just not too overwhelming for her or whoever might be there at the house.
You said you've been on about 8 to 10 of these.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you've seen during these investigations, or anything else you experienced? Anything physically or emotionally?
Just at Maxwell Hall or other places.
Yeah, it could be. We can expand the conversation.
Okay. That one time that when they asked if they knew me, the spirits in the other home in Charles County, and it said yes. I don't think I told this part earlier, but once I had the rods and they answered yes, then they started asking questions. I didn't ask any questions. I just wanted to see how the dowsing rods worked. And then somebody asked, do they know Mike? And the spirit answered back by saying yes. And then it had both of the rods in my hand, and they both went in opposite directions and turned around and tapped me on the shoulder, each side, almost like it was giving me a hug. And I'm like, okay, somebody take these back. And I gave it to them. And that's the thing that really made me believe it was real. And I do a living history portrayal of one of the family members at that house. And they asked if they knew that, and the answer was yes. And then they asked if it was something they liked, and they said, yes, I did a decent enough portrayal of their ancestor, of their family member.
Good.
And they're still just hanging around.
And they're still hanging around, The person didn't die in that house. They lived in Port Tobacco, but apparently it may have been a happy place for her, so she came back to there. It was the daughter of the first owners who built the house, in that particular one in 1840.
That's the question I'm looking for. Like what is the why? Like
Yeah.
what is the why stay, the why just the why be there. Like
where do they go? Like I mean, that's.
And why aren't they somewhere else? Why are they there? And I don't completely understand it.
Some spirit investigator. We gotta have a conversation.
Yes, and I know she said she'd be willing to talk to you sometime.
Hey, you know what? Not only that, I'm also willing to go on one of these tours too.
Oh yes. So you'll have to come visit sometime. And they're doing an investigation on November 23rd. It's listed on the Friends of Maxwell Hall's website, I believe, and our Facebook page. And you can sign up for the events if you want to. And it's limited to 12. So, but yes, maybe you can come along on that or one of the other ones that they do in the house, and you can kind of get a feel for it. And it might be better for you to do one that's not the public one, just so that because you might have equipment that you have to set up, but maybe we can arrange something for that.
Yeah, I just want to get a feel and experience, because there's questions that I think I can only ask while you're there in this scenario. So, like your experience is your experience, but I'm curious what it'd be like if I would experience that.
Right.
It's not like life, like it's like your own you know, it's what you make, what you will. Then you have obviously the other factors,
Yeah,
but
each person might feel something different or see something different or whatever.
right.
Mm-hmm.
You've you done a couple
I've been to one.
hauntings. How was that?
It was interesting. This was back 17 years ago, 2007.
Okay.
I was 20 years old. It was me and 5 other friends went to Gloucester, Virginia. This is when I was going to college in Old Dominion University.
What do you?
ODU. But yeah, we drove up about an hour to Gloucester, Virginia, to the Roswell plantation. This house has since been burned down. It's about 300 years old. And yeah, it was a pretty surreal experience in terms of just like the experience there. Like, I heard whispers, mist of smoke that nobody smokes in the group. It was just like, it wasn't foggy. It was just like certain spots. Like, there was a fireplace in the cellar that we went to, and there was just smoke coming from it. And nobody burnt anything, and this place has been since burnt down, like, since the 1700s.
Mm-hmm.
So it just things like that was just very unnerving.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was my only experience, and it's since now been like built up to like a tourist attraction. But yeah, like before that got transformed to it, 2007, like nobody like would go there.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of whispers?
They weren't really coherent for me to understand, honestly.
But that you could tell that's what they were, though.
They were
You
whispers.
could-
Like,
yeah.
everybody was quiet, and you just
Hear little bits of sound.
like it. We could discern what those voices were between us, like the 6 of us that were there,
Mm-hmm.
and like there was no wind blowing. We were in the cellar, and nothing else would sound except just sound of voices, just like whispered voices. But we couldn't make out what they were saying.
Yeah.
That yeah.
Did you experience anything similar through your investigations?
I had at another place I went to, I didn't smell this, but someone else did. They got the smell of, and there were no pets in the house, in this building, and hadn't been for a long time, but someone smelled like wet, dirty dog smell. And the owner who had been at that house the last one who owned it had dogs that were Chesapeake Bay retrievers, and his wife didn't let them come in the house, but he snuck them in on occasion because they stunk, she said. And so it's believed that they might have been the dogs that a couple people were smelling on this one investigation. I didn't smell it myself, but sometimes my nose works good, sometimes it doesn't.
What is it like for a spirit? Like, you're just sitting there, just chilling, just doing your thing. You know what I mean? Then you got people in the house. You recognize them, but how do you see it? Like, I don't know. It's,
yeah. Is it boring?
I'm waiting. First of all, by the way, I'm more than willing to wait to find out. I have no rush.
Right.
To experience that. I have no desire. But I'm just curious, like what takes place in one life to move to the next?
Yeah.
Exactly, and like you talked about earlier, that transitional period where they're still in this location where they resided in. Sometimes they're still there, and other times they're like traversing elsewhere. Like, where did they go to that period? Like,
Yeah.
you know, like what is that life or afterlife like? You know.
Yeah, it's like, as a human, it's really hard to imagine what is that? What is it? Because we haven't experienced it, and it's not like something everybody else has heard, felt, seen, or whatever. It's like, that would be an awesome TV show or something, wouldn't it? Like day in the life of a ghost.
What movie was it? look it up before this podcast says, but basically, it was the scientists had discovered proof of the afterlife. So I'm not trying to spoil it, but I'll give you a little premise.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, so people would they were doing things to themselves to take themselves out of this life to move on to the next, since proof was found. So you're following. Maybe it's a little bit of spoiler, but you're following the main character around the entire time, and at some point, I just tell you, at some point the man actually died, but he didn't realize it that he died.
Was it Sixth Sense?
So no, this isn't Sixth Sense, but it's kind of like the same setup as that. Like he didn't realize he was actually dead until like late in the movie. He's like, oh, but the part where he died at, it's like where he restarted his life at, and he had to just continue from there until he found the lesson or what needed to be taught to him for him to move on from there.
Okay.
So
Do you remember the actor who played the main character?
yeah, it's remember Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Oh, Jason Bateman.
No, but I think that's his first name. I'll look it up.
Yeah.
I'll look it up. But I wonder if that's kind of like the same thing that's happening here too. Is that you know the life was incomplete,
Right.
or something wasn't done correctly,
And they've got to figure out how to get it to the point where they can move on or whatever.
yeah. Because we're a spirit, it could be them just still living the life with all the people they knew around them, with maybe some I don't know, maybe like something that what deja vu is to us.
Right,
Could be
right.
something similar to them.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know.
Yeah, if that could be figured out, that would be something else.
I gotta check out the spirit investigation.
Yeah, you'll have to come by.
I'm
for
not
one
sleeping
of
in the
them.
house though.
Don't worry, you wouldn't get much sleep because the beds are all lumpy anyway.
Yeah,
Need a
I
some
ain't
Tempur-Pedics in
I ain't
there.
bring no Tempur-Pedic. You couldn't get me in there. Nope. I read. Listen, this book right here. I read a whole lot of it, and I'm like, between this, Blue Dog, all these other places,
Oh, yeah.
places, St. Mary's. I'm like, you know what? I would love to. Now I'll put it like this, documentary wise, I would do it at one spot, overnight. I'll do one spot overnight.
Really?
Yeah, I'll do one spot overnight. But I would be up the entire time with the camera
Oh,
on me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be like in the back of
be
a
a-
barn somewhere
Should be
in
a
Calvert
challenge.
County, just ain't gonna be that. But one spot, I give you one spot, one overnight.
Yeah, because I know some of those crews do set up cameras and things. I haven't been on one of theirs, but I've seen like on TV or heard where they have the cameras and they got the heat sensors and all that stuff, and they go back and play things and they hear and see whatever got picked up on the film.
That's I wouldn't say that I am a skeptic of it, but like I could do something like that, but at the same time, it is kind of unnerving to just know the history behind a location we go to where people have passed in that location, and to know that there's a possibility that hey, they're still lingering here. They can still see you in this location, and it's like, oh,
Yeah, and you also want to be respectful too. Like I don't want to feel like
Yeah.
I'm just
Exactly.
invading.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You don't want to be rude or mean or, like you said, invading their privacy in a way, even though they're not living with us. It's still, you don't want to say things or do things that might insult somebody or whatever.
exactly.
Yeah, like yourself. Like you're in Maxwell Hall a lot, and then you're walking around, then you're recognized as as who you are, and then that's why you got the the love that was shown to you versus just some random crew from outside east of the Mississippi, west of the Mississippi showing up, and then I ain't with nothing crazy. I just want to know, and I just want to not so much see, but I'm just out of curiosity.
And I don't know if they hear me when I do this, but every time I open the house, unlock it, turn the alarm off, and then leave also, I say, hi, everyone, how you doing? And then leave it at that. Or sometimes I'll say, hey, John, how's it going? But I'll like kind of greet when I come in the house, not knowing if anybody's really hearing me, but I greet and say goodbye when I leave. And sometimes I forget, and I'll apologize the next time I come and say, I'm sorry I didn't say hello when I was here the last time.
This is real.
It is. It's heavy.
Yeah, November 23rd. All right, we'll see what I got. That's a Saturday.
The 23rd, yes, of November.
Yeah, that's a Saturday.
Yep.
Is that Thanksgiving weekend?
It's the weekend before.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
And if we can, we'll always try to get you on another one, maybe too. I'll talk to Lynn and see if she'd be willing to let you come on one of the other ones. It was for like her class or something like that.
Lynn is more than welcome to come on the podcast too.
I know she would. She would love to have been here tonight, but her class was going on.
Hey, all
College
good.
of Southern Maryland.
Absolutely.
No problems. This opened up a door here to a few things.
And I have a question. In your line of work, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, what's your take on like what you do compared to like how like pop culture has portrayed like the afterlife? Like what's what's your take on that?
I guess with so many of the movies and shows and things, it's like Poltergeist and things like that, or
Everything being thrown around, people being lifted off the ground.
everything's scary, death-defying, evil kind of things, and and I have not experienced anything crazy like that. Not that I'm the most experienced person that's been on spirit investigations, but I've not heard of any bad things, crazy things like that happening. Although you do hear some people say they have heard voices say things that weren't very friendly on occasion.
Oh.
In one of the homes I was in, we had the one investigator was upstairs, and we were smelling like lilacs in the house, and there wasn't lilacs. And that had something to do with sadness, the person said. The smell was meant sadness, like funeral flowers or something like that. And she said that whoever was in that room wasn't very happy, and so she asked us all to leave, and then went into the room by herself and said she asked the unhappy person thing or whatever to leave, and then came back out and said, okay, it's okay for you all to go in now.
She asked the unhappy person to leave?
She asked the unhappy spirit thing to leave, and then it was okay after that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of connection is that? Like, is that something that, let's say she was born with, that she just like trained towards that?
Yeah.
Or?
So I don't know for this other person who told to ask the thing to leave, but I do know from what I can gather, Lynn didn't realize she had the gift of feeling experience, and I think a relative of hers, maybe an aunt or something, asked her if she experienced something because the aunt had the same gift, and it turns out she figured out when she was a teenager after her aunt asked her the question, and she just had the ability to feel that things were happening and that there were spirit-like things around. But then she started using equipment as well when equipment came available.
I wonder if there's anything around my house.
You never know. It might be. And sometimes, I mean, it could be there was another house here, or Native American people may have been here, or it may have been something else, another structure of some kind, but it may not be the regular one that's here now, but maybe something else lived here. Someone else lived here in another structure or nearby, or off the land or something.
It's just the ground itself.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. I would say that I have never experienced anything here. I wouldn't say I didn't experience it when I was growing up either. I think that house, that area was fine. But other places, like when I went to school in the Eastern Shore, we went to a couple spots that were like, it was like kind of like a book like this for Maryland Eastern Shore.
Oh yeah.
We went to a couple spots there. Some of them not so much. Some of them like, I don't know. I think I'd just rather just leave instead of going further with this. Like I said, it's one of the things like, not being from there, a stranger showing up, and it's like, all right, I'm feeling uncomfortable, just being here right now. So it's probably best that I just going and get out of here. So.
Yeah. And then these things, the investigations are totally different from what the ghost walks are. Like where somebody's going around and telling you history, oh, this happened in this alleyway in this old town, or that house had so-and-so lived in it that passed away. Whereas they're just like giving you a tour of the area, where these investigations are actually digging a little deeper and finding out some things that you might not necessarily find out when you go on a ghost tour.
Yeah, spirit investigations were definitely way different. Probably get a lot more from it too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm sold. I'm sold.
All right, we'll sign you up.
Hey, come on, let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm also intrigued.
Yeah.
You thinking of going too?
I just might. Maybe. Maybe.
Let's see. We're about 50 minutes here. Like I said, I want us to keep between 45 and an hour. So social media wise, where can we find you at as far as all information when it comes to Maxwell?
So we're on Facebook with the Friends of Maxwell Hall. I believe our Facebook page might be called Maxwell Hall, and we're on the internet with a website. I believe it's the Friends of Maxwell Hall that we're listed as our Facebook page. Our website. I wish I could remember the actual address, but if you do a web search for Friends of Maxwell Hall, it'll pull it up for you. And so you can see us online through that. And apparently we just got in the newspaper the other day for our Colonial Fair and Fall Festival 2 weekends ago.
Nice.
Hey, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna
And then-
shout out to the news.
And then you guys doing this, we might get a little, few more visitors come and tour the house and learn a little bit more about the history too. Because history. How can we move forward if we don't know what our past was like? Whether it's as an individual, a family, a community, a country, or whatever.
Hey, come on now. I say the same exact thing, and it's been said well before us too. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. I'm 100% on board with that concept.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. So before we get out of here, Miko, anything you want to wrap up for tonight? Any thoughts? Anything?
No, this has been an eye-opening experience, good sir. Thank you definitely very much for sharing your stories with us and opening my eyes to, just paranormal activity. I've always been fascinated about learning about that type of stuff ever since I watched Ghostbusters. So
Oh yeah.
Yep. I gotta put that little plug in there. You know what I mean? But no, thank you very much for sharing your experiences, sir.
Sure. Thank you, Miko and Ricky, both of you. Thank you for having me here. Yeah, us like there's somebody else here.
What'd you bring with you?
There could be. We just can't see them.
You brought some company with you?
Oh man, I'm gonna come back in here later on tonight. Someone tap you on the shoulder.
There is an app you can get that is it shows up images of things on it, and so it doesn't work 100% of the time. But I think it's called the Ghost app or Ghost something app. Anyway, it shows like the shape of bodies. So if you put it on a person, it draws stick figures on the person that's alive. And it sometimes picks up furniture, but it may pick up like a spirit that's there that you can't see, but it shows the arms, legs, and head kind of thing, like a stick figure.
I'm telling you right now, I don't think I'll be downloading that app. Because if I use that in my own house, because I am going to download that, but I'm going to use it in my basement at some point. And I swear to God, if I'm watching TV and I put right next to me and there's a stick figure just sitting there just chilling too, and I'm like, you know what? I'm sleeping in the woods tonight.
Girl, you sleeping outside in the woods?
You're chilling in my house, stick figure. I'm chilling in the woods tonight.
Like, you got the basement, my guy. Just make sure you turn TV off.
Trying to watch the game, get it a beer or something.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe that's what it is. Like I said, I haven't had any problems with anything strange. Even I had an old piano in here at one point.
Oh yeah.
It was like about 50 years old, and I
Okay.
used to joke around with the family, like, hey, 3 o'clock in the morning, you hear some keys hitting.
Oh
Just
yeah.
know it ain't me.
Yeah. And that piano was owned by the last family who lived in the house. The one at that place I said that the arrangement jumped off at Maxwell Hall jumped off the piano.
Right.
That was the piano that was owned by the last family to live there.
Is it still there?
It's still there today.
Oh my God.
And we got it tuned up not too long ago, so it plays pretty decent.
Okay.
So if you know how to play, maybe you can spin a little tune on it for us the next time you're there.
Can you play?
I know for Elise.
Okay.
Beethoven. Is it Beethoven that wrote for Elise? I think it's Beethoven.
We'll have to ask him to be entertainment.
That's the only song that I can play.
Oh, dang. He could have been an entertainer at our open house event or a special event. Highlighting Miko.
Hey, I've been really piano. That's about 15 lessons. So if I was stuck with it, I'd be pretty decent at this point. But
yeah, no, I wish my parents would have paid for me to go to piano lesson because I could play it if I hear it, but like reading the notes. However, I wish I learned as a kid.
Yeah, reading music itself, different language. So
Yep.
all right, we'll see this and we'll go from there. But Mike, thank you very much once again. Thanks for your schedule flexibility too.
Thank
and,
you both.
Yeah, we'll be in contact so we can get a few things working off the ground.
All right, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you both there at Maxwell Hall sometime.
Absolutely. Appreciate the invite.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And we'll be live very soon. Very soon with What's Good DMV and BNY podcast. So more to come, more information. And Charles County, you have a good night.
Thank you.
What's going on with you?
Yo, another day in the lab, baby. So it's always a good day.
Oh,
It's always a good day when we in the lab. You want policing to be better in your communities? The best policing that you can that can happen in any community are people that's actually from the community and that.
Once again, Rick, host BNY podcast, now known as What Effing Week with BNY. Dev, how you feeling, man?
I'm in here.
It's good comment section.
Yeah.
Do we drag our people down when sometimes they don't deserve it? For sure, absolutely. In this situation, this man deserves every single dragging that we can do because this is not an example of us.
But you got the angles. You got the knowledge of the game, bro.
This is where you're getting at, the IQ.
Down. Like he's telling you what's going on. He was a bad husband. He was just doing things his way. He's apologizing to his wife, like, yo.
Pat ourselves on the back for that one because we didn't give yourself awards. I mean, who is?
Yeah, no boy.
Hey.